which I was showing up on the session, it was said, the Sunday Sabbath, it was said, I'm not going to miss the the short say, the one over any other, big yard in the bra, gravity, the short say, the short say, not now going to see so the game never will. The Vinyans are shy of course. Now, said the population of the national constitution, not for flat. As a music on going to the region, and so now we're figuring something with the other ones. Reading said, Brother Michel, or Jesus Christ in the
Amen.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy day. We thank God so much.
The one of the recent translation. Time is very limited. Like time, sir.
We have only 1 hour for this discussion, so the time is very limited.
People might be a the word in the
And for that matter, I'll paraphrase some of the quotes when we go home. We take time to review them.
Young can say, the number one the piano. Jesus Christ, a brother too, sir, woman now, they put on now, the obey. I said, when Jesus Christ and comedy, they are very important.
Let us consider a woman at the well.
Yeah, Samaritan
woman.
The encounter
the encounter that she had with Christ. The key point is that we have two groups of people who worship God.
Jesus Christ,
and what Christ is looking up to is those who worship Him in spirit and in truth. When we take its comparison, we have others who worship in contrast. In its contrast, we can have people who worship in force. Oh, okay. Flesh and error.
You better keep the same one. Every Isaiah 46.
This sermon is centered on Isaiah 46.
Okay, Isaiah chapter 46 now.
When you read this chapter,
verse 9 and verse 10 there, Obi or them will be familiar. Obi or them will be anti-sabotation.
I think you've all heard about this verse 9 and 10. That God illustrates the end from the beginning. So the role of each prophet is in the same line. You have to illustrate the end from the beginning.
But this very quotation, because I know this even I want to Isaiah
so among us and Adventism, if we ask why this prophet wrote this matter, it will be a problem for us to explain. And why God gave this instruction.
The kind of was it meaning by this chapter chapter Isaiah 46 Obiaha and also the kind from verse 1 to the last verse.
The whole narration is talking about God illustrating the end from the beginning. But I don't think we have taken time to read the whole chapter from verse 1.
It will be here in that time, Isaiah chapter 46.
So when you get time, when you go home, just read and look at why God wrote or asked them to write.
Originality, maybe I shall say Isaiah 46. And what 46
where it actually migrated from is verse 36, right?
Yeah, Isaiah 36. Sennacherib.
So there was a king called Sennacherib.
Yeah. Now, we were Assyria for him.
This man or this king is an Assyrian king.
You know what? Jerusalem for Jew.
So he was persecuting the Jews.
Oh, or Isaiah.
During the period of a specific king. Or
Isaiah comes and watching one.
So when we look at Isaiah, his prophecy, which king reign was he prophesying?
I am forbidding them and Isaiah.
So which kings or which period of kings did he prophesy?
Isaiah, your time.
So someone say
Isaiah,
your time.
Yes, Zedekiah.
So before and then the time this prophet was prophesying, it was within these reign kings or the kings. So when you take
some question,
the history of Isaiah, you should know the prophecy concerning these kings.
Some question I will kind of Isaiah or any better Isaiah.
So during the time of Isaiah, when he was prophesying, which king was reigning?
If you said, Samuel Manaya by which to value here, by a year, maybe any assignment to size there for the 6, 9, 10, I said, or the size if it's as someone, what kind of way? By and comes in our ocean. Okay. The best I can say, that's now. Or quote to Isaiah 46 one now is
what I want to say is that the prophecy about Isaiah or Isaiah, which you want to use,
some comes now also by better and comes in a catcher say, maybe I'm home. They will determine what he said, they can't see Vienna, they can't flash as
that prophecy is saying that I am God and there's none like me. I illustrate the end from the beginning.
But who take his answer maybe even a one at the same time, own share on him, own share the internal.
So when you take that verse, you don't really look at it well. You don't even look at the time of the king or the king that reigned. You don't look at the one who is writing and the time in which he is writing.
It's about even Sabbath now. What kind of Sabbath?
So when it comes to this, you are destroying the principles concerning that same chapter.
Hezekiah addressed Isaiah.
So it was a time of Hezekiah when Isaiah was prophesying.
So we know Assyria one. Sennacherib.
Sennacherib was an Assyrian king.
Isaiah chapter 46 no.
Isaiah 46 was talking about people who will be going into captivity.
What kind of Bible now? What kind of Bible now? Then Jew for the
when you go home, get time and read. It wasn't about the Jews, but it was about Babel. Right?
Yeah, Babylon. Wait, no, I will take it. Babylon for the map of captivity.
So Sennacherib was coming to take Babylonians into captivity.
But some of Babylon's man would decline the last number. Jew for us.
Before he did that, he brought his he brought his message to he brought his persecution to the Jews.
So we read Isaiah chapter 46.
So
Isaiah 36.
When he came, this narrative can be found in 36 verse 36.
Hezekiah time so
so he came.
He was
able to. He told them that he was able to conquer other kingdoms. So he created fears to Jewish.
Women surrender like
So he told them that they have to humble themselves and then yield up to him because he's a king who can conquer them. So it brought fears to the king Hezekiah. So they went to the prophet to do inquiry.
Isaiah so Isaiah Hezekiah
okay, so the prophet Isaiah told the king Hezekiah that they shouldn't mind the king who claimed to be powerful, because God whom they serve will be able to deliver them. It wasn't about the Jewish who were going to captivity. It's Babylon. When did Babylon went into captivity?
How many years
How many years did they went into captivity? It's in the Bible.
Babylon 70 years. Remember, Tiro, I just said 70 years.
They went into captivity for 70 years.
After 70 years,
so after 70 years,
we know about or no, and to any election, any kind of what the person or their funeral, there may be action.
So after that reign, 70 years, his own sons arrested him and killed him. The name of the son is Isahadin.
It's Isaiah chapter 46 now, because I know a fire, but at the same time, every year was over here because almost free and perfume.
So this whole chapter is giving us narrative about God's people who will go into captivity and those who will capture them.
It will share and so
the first captivity in the Bible
that
was prophesied was 100 years. The beginning commenced from Abraham.
Maybe Moses.
And the end was Moses.
Captivity.
Which other captivity do we have?
The son was 70 years.
We do have 70 years of
70 years no. Jew for them.
We have 70 years for the Jewish.
I shall say Jehoiakim.
Which commenced from Jehoiakim.
Now, maybe you know.
Zedekiah.
No. No, 70 years.
So he wants to know which king.
Jehoiakim was the
king who started. At the end of that 70 years.
Cyrus. By Zerubbabel.
It's Cyrus or Zerubbabel.
And it's now 1260 years.
And we have another 1260 years captivity.
1260 years now, so we shall say free. 538.
So it commenced from 538
to 1798.
This will give us a question or help us to ask ourselves why God is allowing people to go into captivity.
And I said,
even if it's not about God's people, why is it that people go into captivity?
Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 45.
Deuteronomy chapter 25.
28 verse 25.
Okay. 28
verse 45.
28 verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee.
It is over if
you go into captivity, what will lead you into that?
So when tea and book
if you don't hearken unto the voice of God, if you don't listen to his precepts and his laws, it will lead you into captivity. When you go into captivity, what do you do?
Joshua chapter 9 verse 23.
Joshua 9 verses 23.
So what kind of good you now?
Joshua 9 23. Now therefore, ye are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondman, and hewers of wood, and drawers of water for the house of my God.
It will be our compass to say, I am them.
If you have the tree, you can do.
Entiafe wa domemu na muna enkwa any enuatwafo any insafo a obeye adwuma ama ne nyankopon fie no ebefida.
So obi won kwaso mo ete say endem.
If you are in bondage, what has happened to you?
Yeah, endem.
What has it?
That
person is a curse.
Yes, sir. Yes,
let's
sir.
Take note of this.
So won kwaso mo ete say adom.
If you are in bondage, it means you are cursed.
Yeah, the most ete say won kwaso mo.
If you are cursed, it means you are in bondage.
Yeah, we remember for edition Bible when it says the rule of first mention.
We have we have rules of Bible interpretation, which is called
the rule of first mention.
The rule of first mention.
So who Bible now bondage.
When you are reading the Bible or studying the Bible and you come across bondage,
I was so the Bible
you have to trace back where it was first mentioned.
Now when you
and you look at things that was happening during that time.
The more information bondage.
It will give you a lot of information about the curse or the bondage.
The curse we know the day can once the Bible
so the first time or where we first mentioned curse.
I am sure the word curse.
Where we've written curse.
Genesis chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3 that we can find.
So what kind of Genesis chapter 3 now? Adam and Eve.
So when we read Genesis chapter 3, it talks about Abel, Adam and Eve.
So as one TV yes when one tell you baby and no idea what to tell you one day. Now who want to me
because they didn't listen to the voice of God concerning the commandment he has given them.
The person said
so what I want to illustrate is that when you are cursed, it means you are in bondage.
Genesis chapter 3 verse 14 to 19.
So when you go home, get time to read Genesis chapter 3 verses 9 to 14. So at the end of this word, where we have reached,
according to the book of Galatians,
as for us, according to the book of Galatians,
was it no member and I said
it says we are not the curse or the woman who is a curse, Hagar.
By Sarah, our free woman, like what you know,
we are descendants of Sarah, the free woman.
It's here now. Say, Sunday morning, say, Hagar, Hagar, Mane, Sarah, Matia.
If we are not the sons of Hagar, but rather Sarah, what brought us out of bondage?
A question by a rhetorical question. Genesis chapter 2 verse 2 and 3.
Genesis chapter 2 verses 2 and 3. Genesis 2, 2 and 3. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Amen. If you are in bondage, it means you are at work. Do we understand that? If you are in bondage, are you at work?
I just say why you free.
But if you are out of curse, it means you are free.
Eti then na go e man ni buy free.
So what makes
Just na go just so man buy free.
what?
Quote.
So according to this school, what God used to make people free?
The Sabbath.
Yeah.
What is it?
Madam.
The Sabbath.
Meaning say Muhammad no object like Muhammad no entremu bia e kwa e fa so ye hu Muhammad no. And that's how go so portray the tell.
So it means that the Sabbath itself has specific understanding which God wants to give us.
Ye ni Muhammad no mo an say me de be jala ba so.
Is that all that we know, that we have to take our bath in the morning and come to church?
By Muhammad no original intent let us say e da nyankopon e bless because sa case we na kasa so no. The opposite word ba ko say blessing.
So when you look at this narrative, the Sabbath is something that God has blessed. So when it comes to this curse,
Eti me na one of blessing in this.
so is it only Saturday that He blessed?
When you refer to the Bible, me blessing. Me na one of
That's
blessing in
referring
this.
to the Bible.
And that is enough.
According to the days, or among the days,
Meaning says I know we know who you.
all the days are at curse,
You are under bondage.
bondage.
It's who the woman must have that way you are under bondage.
So if you give allegiance to this day, it means you are in
Who the
bondage.
woman that way you are under bondage.
If you give reverence to this day, it means
Who
you
the
are in
woman that
bondage.
must have that way you are under bondage.
Likewise the other days.
Where is Sarah? Where is Sarah? Where is Sarah? Meaning say, and yes Sunday one who the a woman say and when the Bible woman that now who come pass more.
So it doesn't mean that when you give reverence to only Sunday or any of these days, you are in bondage.
Sana when you now see.
All these days, God says,
Any pamphlet, till the name of you was as one.
men should use these days to toil,
What you turn and send and Cassella was as well.
to cut.
Nelson, Cassella. I got a
Homes. Okay, so God wants us to use these days to toil,
and then the pound of this animal.
not only human.
Now, one and Cassano, if I said it, man, of this animal.
He used those days to do whatever he wanted to do before he gave to us.
For Genesis chapter 1,
Go to Genesis chapter 1,
verse 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Genesis 1, 1 and 2. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
And darkness there.
So, darkness is what?
It says darkness here, Quasun.
Do we understand darkness is bondage?
And Quasun, no man.
Bondage is curse.
It has assassin, not as we know.
So, from the beginning, this world was at curse.
And then every finding human to original state.
So God then refined everything to its original state.
It will be, you know, I don't know one final, you know.
So
Listen.
after he has finished everything, he did as he didn't work. He blessed that day.
It's a better Sunday law concept. Now, this is the original intent of Sabbath.
So if we understand Sunday law, it means we have to really understand the intent of the Sabbath.
Jay to Sabbath now more money.
Why God gave Sabbath to men.
Yet, Sabbath now here, Obi quotation, you know, here, Sister White said, Sabbath didn't be doing a home match. And let me be here.
So I said somebody gave a quote that edges of Sabbath. That somebody gave a quote that God has given us Sabbath. As for the Sabbath, we will follow, but the branches of it, the edges of it, will be something that we will have to.
Two reasons say edges of the Sabbath now. Say we shine on Pabua. Say we
So if you ask
edges,
what are the edges of the Sabbath, the person will say polishing your shoes, cleaning, and what have you.
but that word edges now. She said, "Dear, if I didn't know, dear, original Sabbath no was there."
But when you look at the word edges, it means things that surround the Sabbath.
Yes, Sister White, the numbers were saying, no, you see, the rule of first mention, maybe a Sabbath, you can do.
So when the White was using the rule of first mention, where Sabbath was first used in the Bible.
Eti, me say, say who on kwasumwa sa 400 years 70 years 60 years so who on kwasumwa de na ko de je no Sabbath.
So what I want to say is this: if you are using 470 years, 1,260 years bondage, it means that God is going to use only the Sabbath to redeem you.
And if on Sabbath,
who are those who are redeemed?
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 to 11.
Exodus 20, verses 8.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 to 11. 8
to 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Enensia na wonye adwuma na ye wade na da etoso no ye momeda ma awurade nyankopon enyo adwuma bia wone oba beni ne oba ba wakoa ne wafuna ne womoa ne wokoa wo fia ponuni na enensia na awurade di ye osoro ne asase epo ene de womu na ohmeda etoso enson no enti na radisha ohmeda na waye ne konkon amen
eti why is when one jet to be awo ohmeda me.
So who was the person that this quote is referring to?
So what kind of Bible was it?
Who should remember? Whom is he talking to? Who?
What is it?
The father.
yes so
The man and also ba.
So is it the man or the woman?
The man. What scripture proof where it say the man or ba?
So where is your scripture proof that says is the man or the woman?
Genesis chapter. Okay, but that's it. Genesis was
So Genesis.
it say was it down? Sat down. It's na woman. Oba.
So the word thou represents male plus female.
You have someone was a blessing. Didn't know if you
So he says he has blessed the Sabbath. Why is he saying you shouldn't work? It's because he has blessed the Sabbath. So the day that is being blessed, we don't work within.
And Sabbath, returning back to where?
So in Sabbath, God has returned men to Eden.
And some are curse
Before the curse came,
anybody to say,
how was the nature of man?
No more bed.
We did.
It is Sabbath, I was on married.
So in the Sabbath, what should they do?
I was on married.
They should be equal.
And everyone is so massive.
Okay. Their walls are those that are under them. Their servants, their children, their cattle, their sheep.
So
if you really understand Sabbath,
I was only say you do something. I don't mean that we never know. You do something. I don't know
when we get to the day that is called the Sabbath, all the creation of God is so perfect. Nothing is above other.
But Exodus chapter 20 was saying,
but when we come to Exodus chapter 20, it says, your maid servant and your man servant. How can somebody become your servant? Whilst the person is working for that day, that person has been set free. If you want to understand Sabbath spiritually,
or the nipa nyina eba be gyina pe bia omo nyina be ebe
God is bringing all people to a point where they will all be equal.
obi nya ohene ngo bi so
None will be a king over others.
obi di semra mo bi so ndi so
None will have to set laws over others.
mo na be semra mo bi so ndi so
Who should set laws for others to follow?
Christ dey so semra na omo nyina bi so
It is Christ who has the responsibility to set laws for people to follow.
ti se no ne Sabbath dia
So if it is Sabbath,
Sunday law ka wele
if it's Sabbath, then Sunday law will be what?
se wo nya nipa ma na ti so
You are getting somebody to rule over you.
se wo se be ma ye kese chen wo ba
Saying that a man is above the woman.
se be ma ye kese chen wo ba dia e won ti Sabbath na kasa se
If a man is above a woman, then I think you don't really understand what the Sabbath is all about.
oba over on Thursday na fe bo Saturday won ti Sabbath na se kanu ne matemato ni se
If you like, wash your shoes or your clothing on Thursday and keep them for the Sabbath.
matemato ni se ubegu se nyankopon edges matemato ni se ubegu se nyankopon returning people back to Eden.
So the edge is that God is calling people to be equal as He has made them from the beginning at the Sabbath.
It was a 7 day Sabbath no go Sabbath na kanina.
It's not about 7 day Sabbath alone, but all other Sabbaths.
Leviticus chapter 16 verse 29.
Leviticus chapter 16 verses
29. Yeah, Leviticus chapter 16 verse 29.
Leviticus 16:29. Leviticus 16:29. Okay. And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls, and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country, or a stranger that sojourn among you.
Leviticus 16:29.
16.
Yeah, 16:29.
Leviticus chapter 16 verse 29. Awurade asɛm nie. Na yei ɛnyɛ mo daa ahyɛdeɛ. Bosome a ɛtɔ so nson no daa a ɛtɔ so edu no. Mommrɛ mo klaase. Kuromu no kuromani o ɔhɔko a ɔbɛsoɛ wo mu o. Monyɛ adwuma biara. Amen.
Amen.
Which time is he talking about?
The day of atonement. Right. So
Talking about the day of atonement, when the high priest is in the most holy place. This time,
so you're very priest.
the chief priest or
The priest.
the
Like
priest, yeah,
or the motto, like or the motto or the control.
he has to sacrifice his own life.
Because man, so we are some money that
He is sacrificing his life because if there is any sin within him and he enters into that place, he's going to die.
That's why a 7th month, 7th month.
It is also the 7th month.
Object back I said, you do Sabbath now, you do 7th day, 7th month.
So when we get to the 7th day, the 7th month, the Sabbath,
and too much,
we have to sacrifice ourselves for our brethren. Men are to sacrifice for their brethren.
We are Israel here, Saddam,
If you are an Israelite, that 7th month or the Sabbath, you don't work. You have to sacrifice yourself. You sacrifice yourself and come before the Lord to confess all your sins. So what sins do the Israelites commit? The widower, the fatherless, the servant, they are being undermined. So when we get to that day, they cannot continue doing the same thing. They have to come and confess all those sins. They don't work at all. They don't have the right to work at all. So the work they have to do that day is to confess themselves to one to another. That's the Sabbath. Is it the Sabbath that you just come here to worship? Or get dressing up to come here to worship?
It is only Sunday law, and then it's a walk Sunday.
So if it is so, then Sunday law is not just going to church on Sundays.
Then now Levitical times, the Mosaic law, patriarchal ages, they never cover Sabbath.
But rather, looking at what really transpired during that time, Leviticus time.
It is Christ by the time of Casao at the bone, the animal winter.
So the reason why Christ spoke in parable was all about this.
We know we want to talk about what you feel, what you feel. If
you have grudges with your people, your friends, or people, you have left everything in your hand.
Means that what easy sound of a corner. So we won't point to what that was other way.
It means that this day you have forsaken all the grudges you have with people. You have come here to worship.
It's the true object, and because assembly wouldn't walk, what we now, and do some brand as well, and not Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. And do some brand as well. And what's always a simple sound money now? Now,
so the object is this: when you get to the Sabbath, you have to leave all the foolishness that you are doing and to come to the feet of the cross to worship. So before we get to the Sunday law, so before we get to Sunday law, that same time we are approaching Sabbath. So because of that, we only think about literal things, and then God cannot reveal secrets to us.
It's 7th day, rested. 7th month, rested.
So 7 days, people have to rest. On the 7th month, people have to rest.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 4.
Leviticus 25, verses 4. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field, nor prune thy vineyard.
25
verse 4.
Verse 4.
Na afia etoso enson no enye ahomedie home ema asase no enye ohome ema awurade enua wafuo mu ade na mpempan obekutuo mu enua ho. Amen.
Amen. Now I never was Sabbath no one say do Sabbath now.
So something that so important about Sabbath is that when you get to Sabbath, the property that God has given you, you don't have any right to work on it.
We prove it just a do Sabbath period now. Let me that one easy.
So this is one of the proof that when you get to that time, the work in 7-day Adventist cease. Why is that? For this 7th month, you don't have to go to farm to take food. Why God? Whom is God giving this to? So at my 7th month, who has the privilege to go to the field to pick the remaining, the Gentiles, the strangers, and the poor have the privilege to go. So the rich or the wealthy people cannot go there during that time. But God is calling the poor to come forward, or the strangers. Please, do you understand?
This was the true object of the Sabbath. When the Sabbath but do
we understand this?
It is Christ.
So Christ is the Sabbath that the Jewish were looking up to. So when he arrived, the Jewish need to understand that they have to understand that they are equal with the Gentiles. The crops or the food that we have in our farms, now they can come and pick some.
But because of that,
because they eat more to the flesh and didn't think about spiritually, they didn't understand.
Jesus Christ.
That's why they rejected Christ.
But
That's how we are doing now. We follow the laws of literal. Yeah, we take the literal laws and then we neglect the spiritual laws. When you talk about it, somebody will just confront you with this, that if I don't see the literal or the natural, how will I see the spiritual? If someone is confronting you with the spiritual laws, it doesn't mean that he has undermined the natural laws. If he doesn't regard the natural laws, how will he be able to identify the spiritual laws? This is one of the foolishness that is going on among Seventh-day Adventists, that we are not Seventh-day Adventists. If I'm not Seventh-day Adventist, then how will I be able to identify the foundations of our fathers? So this time has come that all the natural laws that God has given us, we have to think about it carefully. The laws of flesh cannot save you. The flesh cannot go to heaven. It's only the spirit that can take you to heaven. Please, do we understand what I'm saying? The most fearful aspect is this: from the 7th month, the 7th day, the 7th year. So when you get to that time, God has already proclaimed that this is the 7th. No one should work. And you are working. What will happen to you? You will die. They will punish you. You will be stoned to death. Go to look. Who is this stone? It's Christ.
The Gentiles.
So it is what the Gentiles are doing is what they're going to use to condemn you to death. Please, do we understand? So if you, during the Israelite time, when you don't follow the Sabbath, it is the stone that they will use to kill you.
Luke 19
So in Luke, that's why Christ said, if they keep quiet, stones will cry out. What is this stone crying out for?
To stone the Israelites.
Yes, no.
So the stones will cry out to condemn the Israelites. But now, what is the stone saying? So what the stones are crying out is what they are using it to condemn Christians. So it is time that we have to open our memories and our brains.
Because of
So don't say that because he's saying this, he has neglected all the laws. We have to look deep into the spiritual laws.
At the end of the day,
You can do the natural laws or the physical laws, but when you don't follow the spiritual, you feel like you can't.
Genesis chapter 5 verse 1 to 2. So
let's go to Genesis chapter 5.
Because you can see we said down.
We said something which represents man and female in Exodus. Genesis chapter 5 verses 1 and 2.
Yeah.
This is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. In the day when they were created.
Genesis. Eti no niche mu ba ko ni mi no awade asemi Adam a won to so ni da wo Nyankopon bo nipa no obo no ni suban eso na obo oberima ni oba na wo hira wo na wo to won din enipa
what won din say
enipa
Eve no oba no nyefre.
So where did Eve get this from?
After the Abla or the case in Siomani.
What the case me boy no
After the curse.
Adam Eve
So when the curse was pronounced, that's when Adam named Eve.
And they do Sabbath now.
So when you go to Sabbath,
Eve only Eve for the Adam.
Before the Sabbath, right?
You do Sabbath.
Okay, at Sabbath, Eve is called Adam.
Only Eve, the friend Adam.
She's not Eve, she's Adam. They are equal.
They make an answer.
Do we understand that?
Only a man a pet.
You and the Gentiles are equal.
Them are not buy a pet.
Man and a woman are equal.
So one to sign last year, and I want to Sabbath.
If you don't understand this, you don't understand Sabbath.
So one to sign last year, them are superior than about there, and you are still under the bondage.
If you don't understand this, then you are still under bondage.
Who are you?
You are at bondage and you are at curse.
The last quotation. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse number 9.
Deuteronomy
chapter 15, verse 9.
Deuteronomy 15, verse 9. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thy eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cried unto the Lord against thee, and be sin unto thee.
Hweye na wakoma ama ahuhusem bi se afi etoso enson afi etoso nson jai jamuche afi no aben na wanya wunia yeni no ho adwenbone se uma no hwe na wantiam amfre awurade entiawo na anane wo bone
Ademi omoda.
God have mercy upon us.
Ejin. Dem an oba when your man adwuma like when you can say when you adwuma.
So when we look at this narrative in Eden,
Everybody discover.
whom did God give work to do? Adam.
Dem an.
Adam.
When you is na why you.
So who will be the poor and who will be the richest?
When you is na why you. Adam is na oba na you.
So Adam will be rich.
And they say it's a animal. Now
we hear the same voice that I work, I bring the money on you. So when it comes to discussion or negotiation, and the woman doesn't understand, the man will say, quiet, I bring food and say, this is your quotation. This is your quotation. You are underrating your wife, who is poor, literally. We have a very bad thought that women are to cook and men are to learn. So when you come to the Bible, learning or a man who has learned is richness. And then the women are poor in mind. And they become poor in spirit. So when it comes to any negotiation or discussion or controversy in the church, you say the women are to keep quiet and then the men have to talk. This is your So sometimes we say we are Seventh-day Adventists. So you are Seventh-day Adventists, you are Sunday worshippers, you don't know the Bible. So when we come to worshiping God, we know. So quiet for us to talk because we understand this. This is your position. So when we reach at this point and you consider that you are rich and you are oppressing the poor,
so who is that now?
at that time when you do that thing,
Sunday travel now, Moses can't.
this literal law that Moses proclaimed,
So now one know me here, but
if God is bringing any curse, the curse will come upon you.
but to the make an answer.
Do you understand this?
So now one say or declare the end from the beginning.
So as Isaiah prophesied that God illustrated the end from the beginning.
So we should we not ordain a home, no more till my side is no near.
So when you look at Abraham,
to pineapple,
they were free in their land, but they traveled to another land to work hard.
Masters.
They have slave masters,
Servants.
and they are the servants.
So
So they don't have any rest. And God wants to restore their freeness. And then He brought them back the Sabbath that they should remember. So the same remember is the same remember that is. So the original intent is that God created man and woman on the same level. So your servant and your bondmen are created equal. Your cattle and sheep all were created equal. That time, no one worked. So when you get to that time and you say, I am the master, so the slave have to go and work.
Most of the time, not breaking rule and not breaking rule.
Have you breaking the rules of Moses or not?
It's even almost one day, maybe that once proclaim in a loud voice.
So those people who want to say that they want to proclaim the message, which is the loud cry, they have neglected or rejected the principle that they need to be condemned before they go out to be condemned.
The last word.
My last word.
So we'll go Luke chapter 19 now.
When you go to Luke chapter 19,
and I Luke 10, sorry, Luke 10.
Or Luke 10.
So who's a Levite and a Samaritan woman?
Where you can find the priest, the Levite, and the Samaritan.
Sounds like a revelation for it. I don't
The same way when you go to Revelation chapter 14, you see the first angel, the second angel, the third angel. So you see that the first angel and the second angel's message is proclaimed within the church. The third angel's message is to the Samaritan. Is the same angel who is going to condemn. That angel is the Sabbath.
It's from now. I was essential as you said, you're doing it.
So it is time that we have to start considering the surroundings
and edges.
Or the edges of the Sabbath. It's not about washing. It's not all about washing. So it means that I am preparing, I'm washing, I'm cleaning because a day is coming that I cannot do such. It's not me alone, but whosoever with me. So if literally we are equal, then spiritually God wants to teach us that we are also equal. May the Lord have mercy upon us. Let's pray.
na yɛmmɔbɔ sɛdeɛ ɔbɛyɛ te a mɛfa ɛda yi hyɛ wo tumi ase wɔ Jesus Christ din mu. Amen.
Amen.